Some of you may have heard rumors that Joseph Smith killed animals as part of his treasure digging. Where do these stories come from? And what animals did Joseph supposedly kill? So Joseph Smith started treasure digging in 1820. Probably the first recorded instance of Joseph Smith killing an animal comes from William Stafford. William was a farmer in Palmyra. His account was recorded on December 8th of 1833. He says that Joseph and his fellow treasure diggers had seen in his flock of sheep a large, fat, black wether, and they wanted it. Joseph Smith Sr., along with probably Alvin, told him about a hidden treasure, which could only be procured in one way: that a black sheep should be taken to the ground where the treasure was concealed, and after cutting its throat, it should be led around a circle while bleeding. William says he was curious, and so he let them have his large, fat sheep. Afterwards, Joseph said he made some mistake in the process, and that the spell did not have the desired effect. Another account comes from Emily C. Blackman, who literally wrote the history for the Susquehanna County. In her history, she writes about a man named Harper. Joseph told Harper to get a perfectly white dog and sprinkle his blood over the ground where the treasure was buried. Joseph said that this would prevent the enchantment from removing the treasure, except that perfectly white dogs were very scarce in Palmyra. So Joseph thought a white sheep would do just as well. So a white sheep was found and killed, and its blood was sprinkled as directed. Blackman says that Harper spent $2,000 on this venture, but no treasure was found. And the reason for this, Joseph said, was because God was mad that they switched a dog for a sheep. Another account comes from Joseph and Hiel Lewis, who were cousins of Emma Smith. They tell the same story of a white dog being replaced with a white sheep. In a follow-up statement, Hiel Lewis goes into a little bit more detail. The facts are that the sacrifice of white dogs, black sluts, black cats, and such like, was an indispensable part or appendage of the art which Smith, the embryo prophet, was then practicing. In the 1828 Webster's Dictionary, the word slut just means a person who is dirty, which doesn't really make it any less terrible. In another place, a man named Frederick G. Mather interviewed 5 people who were acquainted with the Smiths. In this story, in order to break the enchantment, they needed a black sheep, except I guess they killed the only black sheep, so they used a black dog instead. And again, the killing of the black dog and the blood sprinkled on the ground did not work. And then the story takes an even darker turn. The people said that the prophet decided that some man must be killed. He called for a volunteer, but none of the faithful could spare themselves for that purpose. They go on to say that all the silver there ever was in that mountain lies there until this day. They also speculate that Joseph stole the dog. Additionally, in Emily Austin's autobiography, she tells another story of Joseph Smith killing a dog, except they never came to any treasure. She even says that the dog's name was Trey. Another account given much later comes from Nan Hill, who also grew up in New York. She says that Smith burned a black dog belonging to Deacon Stowell, and that this burnt offering was to appease the wrath of an avenging angel. It would not be long after this that Joseph would claim to be visited by an angel, and later an angel with a flaming sword.